Hello, it's Lord Slaw here, come back with another video, and the topic of today's is the best to worst doctors. So before we start, I'd like to thank every single one of you for 100 subscribers. Yep, that's quite a milestone, in less than a year since I started posting videos on the channel as well, so it's pretty exciting. And I'm glad, because more or less what I do this channel is to voice my opinion, because it's often, not a common one among many people, especially as I don't know that many people who are as big a fan of the 60s as I am, and also because I like to get some discussion and debate going in the comments, things like that. I do find it very entertaining. Look at other people's opinions, see how they weigh up, see who I agree with, who I disagree with, and it's all fun. And to see, my subscribers go up to get more views and comments on the videos, that's why I do the channel. I enjoy just getting more or less people's opinions and the community feel. I mean, we're not quite the community feel yet because I'm at such a low subscribers, but who knows? Maybe we'll get there one day. But without further ado, let's get on to the video. Oh, and there's going to be no War Doctor on this list, as I haven't really heard the big finish, and there isn't enough of him to judge, unfortunately, so yeah, he's not on here. So at the worst spot, we have David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. So I really don't like this Doctor, and that's often a problem as he's generally considered the best Doctor, and I kind of understand why, but he's really not my cup of tea. I mean, for one, I absolutely hate his angsty side with, shit like The Man Who Never Would, and when he basically cried before his regeneration, despite the fact that every other Doctor, was eagerly, well, not eagerly, but like was accepting of it. They sacrificed their life for somebody else, and they were happy with that, whereas he wasn't, and it just kind of made him not really feel like the Doctor to me, and almost dislikable. There were, of course, some episodes I liked him in, like Impossible Planet, Satan Pit, and Midnight, but the times I didn't like him far outweighed the times I liked him, unfortunately, and so that's kind of why he's ended up at the bottom of this list. So next up we have Matt Smith. Oh my god, this Doctor is so cringy. I really can't stand it. I mean, there's some episodes where he's alright, and for the most part, it's only moments where I find I don't like him. But man, cringy's the word. There's nothing really more to say about it, just the humour is really cringy, and that's the problem with Matt Smith. He acts it well, and sometimes he's all right. Like the more serious side is usually all right when he's not, saying stupid shit or being over the top. But to be fair, Tennant did that more. But still, just fucking cringy, especially in episodes like Closing Time or most of the Christmas specials. I just can't stand it. So next up, we have Peter Capaldi. So I am very conflicted on this Doctor. He has some really huge flaws, but then sometimes I do quite enjoy him. In Series 8, apart from when he was basically being Clara's bitch and pushed to the sidelines of the show, I did quite enjoy him. He was reasonably enjoyable as a Doctor. I thought it was pretty good. But in Series 9, with the exception of a fair few moments and Heaven Sent, I just hated the whole cringy midlife crisis thing with the Sonic sunglasses and Dr. Disco. I just didn't like that. I understand that for some people they quite liked it, but I just didn't think it was funny, and I thought it was cringy and pretty annoying, to be perfectly honest. And the Sonic sunglasses were more or less just made to troll people, and it fucking worked, because I really didn't enjoy Peter Capaldi's Doctor in Series 9 that much, apart from in Heaven Sent, where he was genuinely brilliant. But Peter Capaldi's credit, he acts the role pretty well most of the time, and in Series 8, he wasn't that bad, aside from when he was kind of being pushed to the sidelines and it was basically Clara who, but basically, the root of all the trouble here is Moffat's fault, just as it was with Matt Smith, and just as it was RTD's fault with Tennant. So now we have my favourite New Who Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. Yeah, there's just nothing not to like about Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, really. He's likeable, he's funny, and he has some great chemistry with the TARDIS crew. He even makes Rose likeable, at least in the later episodes of his era. And, that's quite an achievement. If there's one flaw I pick out with him, it's the fact that I think they kind of got his character a bit off, because he's not meant to be this kind of, working class, complete man of the people. He is a Time Lord, and a Time Lord is the upper class caste of the Gallifreyan society. So I think that's a little misunderstanding of the character, and that was to do with, RTD's whole preaching to, trying to be too relatable, I think, was the issue there, because how Rose was making the point that she was living in a council estate and shit, and it's like, We just want to see Doctor Who here. But that's kind of a very minor flaw. Overall, I really enjoy him, and I really want to see more of him because he's a really good Doctor. And if I saw more of him, who knows? Maybe he can move up. Next up, we have Paul McGann. So this is a Doctor which has been rated quite highly recently by people because of Big Finish is starting to rise in popularity. However, I've heard a fair few of his Big Finishes, and while I still really like him, I don't think he's as good as some people say he is. He's still very enjoyable, but I just, there's the classic TV Doctors I prefer. And that's not just me being like, oh, classic series is the best, because there's some parts of Big Finish which are fucking brilliant and better than the TV series. Well, nothing's better than Inferno, but Davros gets pretty darn close, as in the audio Davros. But I don't know. There's just not much to say about Paul McGann. He's an enjoyable Doctor, but I don't think he's as good as a lot of people are saying he is. So at the next spot, we have Peter Davison. So like the past two Doctors, as in Eccleston and McGann, there's nothing to really dislike about this Doctor. However, he's not my upper echelon of preferred Doctors. However, if there's one good thing I am going to say about him, is that he has a great character arc. He starts off as this kind of guy who just goes around the universe being pretty nice. However, then some fucked up shit happens to him, often because he was too weak to act quickly, and you have his friend dies, he has to kill the Silurians and the Sea Devils, loads of people die in Resurrection of the Daleks, and his companion just leaves, completely tormented by what she's seen, and it just kind of shows that in the universe there's not much room for a nice guy. And in the case of Andros Arnie, an episode where he barely managed to save himself and Perry, never mind the society which is around him, where just everybody's greedy and money grabbing and corrupt, and he regenerates into Colin Baker, a bit of an arsehole, but he's got authority. He still has the Doctor's morals and manages to get stuff done. And I think it's a good character arc showing that the universe is so dangerous there's not room for a nice guy. And I think that's something which often goes unnoticed by people. And I think that's a very clever story arc. And I think that's one good thing which JNT and Eric Sayward did, which goes pretty unnoticed. Next up, we have Sylvester McCoy. So he was initially further up on my list. However, he's kind of went down a bit in my estimations, or rather to say that people above him or who were below him have went up. Because I still really like this Doctor. It's just Doctors I liked less than him, I now like more. So I don't like McCoy any less. I just liked some of the Doctors which were behind him more. But he is still in my upper echelon of really preferred Doctors, as he has a great character arc as well. Sure, he's not that good in season 24, and maybe it wasn't a character arc so much. It's just in season 25 onwards, it was this Cartmel master plan. I'm sure you've all noticed it. It was to inject some mystery into the show, to make the Doctor look really manipulative and cunning, and it really worked. It put the Who back in Doctor Who, to quote somebody I completely forgot who they are. But yeah, I think that's a good quote, because the mystery had kind of gone by Colin's era, and while I didn't think that hugely matters, I think it was a great way to get some investment in some episodes, and I think it really worked for his era, and that's why he's a really good Doctor. So at the next spot, we have Tom Baker, who's often considered the best Doctor, or at least he was before David Tennant came along and ruined all that. But yeah, Tom Baker is a brilliant Doctor, and while I personally don't think he is the best, he's certainly a very good one, and certainly the most iconic Doctor of them all, even with David Tennant. Yeah, he's a really funny, bonkers Doctor who knows when to be serious as well. I mean, if you want to see his serious side and very good action, watch The Seeds of Doom. He's absolutely brilliant in that in terms of acting, and it really shows that the Fourth Doctor isn't just like wide eyes and jokes. Although, to be fair, that was mainly the Graham Williams era which did that, but there were still some pretty good gags in Tom Baker's era. He definitely has the humour spot on. Tom Baker is a perfect actor for that. And I think the best joke in the entire era, well, not joke, but just kind of funny moment, is when he's raises the jelly baby to that warrior's mouth in the face of evil and said, "Don't move or I'll kill him with this deadly jelly baby." That scene was absolutely fantastic, and Tom Baker is generally fantastic in the role, and I really, really like him, and that's why he comes up this high on the list. So next up we have Colin Baker. So this might be a bit of a controversial one, as people generally don't like Colin Baker. Sure, that's changing now, but there's still a lot of people out there who are in the camp that Colin Baker's the worst Doctor. And I really like him. I don't know what it is, he's just a pleasure to watch every time. I mean, for one, Colin Baker is a brilliant actor who has some great chemistry with lots of the people he works with. And plus, who doesn't want to watch the Doctor being a fucking brash arsehole walking around with authority? It's great. I mean, I know he can be a bit of a dick, but that's what I love about the Sixth Doctor. He's not afraid to be a dick because deep down, he really is a nice guy. And it just works. I don't know, something about his Doctor just works for me. Even the TV version, and they got him even better in Big Finish. There's so many great stories with him in Big Finish, and there's some really great ones on TV. In fact, I don't know why people give the Colony era such flack because I actually think it's really, really good, especially like to be honest, the best of the '80s, and yet it's considered the worst era of all time. That always confuses me, but oh well. Yes, at the next spot we have William Hartnell. Wow, I really enjoy Hartnell, almost for similar reasons that I enjoy Colin, because he's just a complete arsehole with a lot of authority, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Of course, that isn't just the only reason, as with Colin. He does have a sensitive side which occasionally comes out, and he has a really great chemistry with most of the actors he worked with, specifically William Russell, Maureen O'Brien, and Peter Purvis, and they all work really, really well together. He's also very much the scientist. I mean, sure, most doctors are, but Hartnell specifically, just the way he works out things, he seems like much more of a scientist than the other ones, especially in New Who, where like they're just going far too fast, and it looks like somebody's wrote a script about science, whereas in the Hartnell era, it looks like he's genuinely doing science, which I don't know, something about that just works for me. It really feels like sci-fi, and I just generally enjoy watching his Doctor quite a lot. So at the next spot, we have Jon Pertwee. So this is another Doctor with pretty mixed opinions. Some people really like him, some people aren't too hot on him. Personally, I really, really enjoy him. And honestly, I can't pinpoint what it is for the life of me. He's just really enjoyable, especially when he's being, even though I don't like this phrase, for lack of a better one, sassy with people. It's just really fun to watch. Inferno with him in Starman, or in Ambassadors of Death, when he's like, oh yes, it's been a case of one hand fighting the other, and like they all stand up and he's like, but I don't really think that. Just moments like that. It's very enjoyable. Jon Pertwee knows almost how to, like, I would say, manipulate people. That's kind of McCoy's characteristic, but it's a lot more subtle than McCoy, and it's a lot less dark. It's just kind of, you know, getting into people's psyche to kind of work out what they're doing more than just getting people to do what he wants, like McCoy does. And I don't know. I think I like that about Pertwee. There's probably some more to it, but I can't pinpoint why. I just really like Jon Pertwee's Doctor. That's it. So, at the top spot, I'm pretty sure you could have all saw this coming from a mile away. We have Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor. I absolutely love him to bits. Just everything is done really well. Patrick Troughton is my favourite actor of all time. He's absolutely brilliant. If you disagree, watch Enemy of the World and tell me you still disagree. He has some great companions that he has some amazing chemistry with. His personality is a really good mix of both serious and humorous, and he just generally acts the role brilliantly. And the character just, it feels great. It's always a pleasure to watch Patrick Troughton and Fraser Hines as well. And to boot, he has some of the greatest Doctor Who episodes of all time in his era. Just everything about the Patrick Troughton era is brilliant, and Patrick Troughton's Doctor himself is absolutely fantastic and a joy to watch every time. The perfect balance of humour and seriousness. It works really well, and Patrick Troughton pulls it off brilliantly. And I think I need to stop because I'm just gonna ramble on for ages saying the exact same things, but I can't help myself because I love him and his era that much. So thank you for watching this video. Tell me what your favourite Doctors and least favourite Doctors are in the comments, and I'll see you back next time in another video.